What is going on, team? Today we're chatting about footwear. I get asked all the time in regards to what type of shoes that I like training in. I do strength training, I do running, I do a lot of hit style classes, aka I work for at 45. So that being said, I do rotate my shoes, and I do get a lot of comments like, Jeff, how many shoes do you have? I just like shoes. I'm a shoe guy. Specifically more towards the training style shoes, or the shoes that you wear for physical activities. With that, there's a reason there's people that design these styles of shoes specifically for a task at hand. Yes, a lot of them are used interchangeably depending on the modality, depending on the style of training that you do. There might be a shoe that could cross over into different disciplines of training, but all that to say, there's still a lot of specific things that a shoe is made for that you should utilize and leverage for that specific activity that you're doing. So for me, I do a lot of cross training, I do a lot of functional training, I do bodybuilding. I started running not too long ago. So yes, I have a little bit of shoe rotation. I have a little bit of knowledge in regards to that. So I'm going to go ahead and share what I know, what I think, and then hopefully it resonates with you guys. And if anything, it might show you guys some new shoes that you haven't tried. And don't blame me if you start buying a lot of them. But first and foremost, I'm going to start off with the shoes I wear the most. And these are the ones that I wear, yes, for honestly daily, for any daily activity, but mostly I work in the fitness industry. So I wear these shoes day in and day out. Training, not training, these are the shoes that I go for. And the brand that I wear the most is actually Vivobarefoot shoes. Specifically this model, it's called the Motus Strength, and they have the Motus Strength 2s that I haven't tried yet. But this is the OG. This is actually the Timberland model. Colorway that's a little bit tougher to get nowadays with the gum sole and just the pattern. But anyways, it is a barefoot style shoe. What does that mean? Barefoot style, it just means that it favors the foot anatomy with a zero drop at the bottom, a wider toe box, and it's a very light shoe. And with that, very flexible. So it's anatomically, it's a shoe that's fit for the shape, the patterns, and the way our foot is going to move throughout the day. So the brand that I like the most is Vivobarefoot. I've been wearing them for probably 6-7 years now. The Motus Strengths are the ones that I currently have multiple models of and I love the most. Another Vivobarefoot shoe that is really good, and it's gonna offer a little bit less structure, much more flexibility, it's a little bit lighter as well, is going to be the Primus Light Knit. So I do like the sock feel, or like the little booty feel. That being said, again, we're favoring the zero drop, white foot shape, white toe box, and the flexibility of the shoe in general. But these are the shoes that casual wear, and when I go hit style training, strength training, honestly, it covers everything. Mostly the Motus Strength, just because they have a little bit more lateral support and they do have a little bit more structure in the upper. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more flexible, these are the ones. And the best way that, if you haven't worn a barefoot shoe, the best way I could give you an analogy is the Primus Light Knits remind me a lot of the Nike Free Runs. When the Nike Free Runs started and they were like super flexible shoes, not saying that they're not now, but they were way more flexible when they started back in 2012, 2013 is when Nike Flex, don't quote me on that, but those are super flexible. That's how these feel in regards to flexibility and the lightness. Obviously, they just favor the anatomical structure of a foot a lot better. The Motus Strengths are kind of like the Vivobarefoot's version of a Metcon. So if you're trying to get into barefoot shoes, I recommend Vivobarefoot. They have different styles, different colorways, of course, But that being said, they are going to take some time to adapt, given that we've always worn a lot of cushion underneath the shoe, or there's not as much proprioception in a regular shoe, or you're going to get much more proprioception in a barefoot shoe. It does take a while to accommodate. When it comes to running, that's going to take way longer than it's going to take for you to start walking comfortably in barefoot shoes. But with that said, definitely Vivobarefoot shoes are my top shoe for daily wear, cross training, strength training, the shoes I wear all the time. For running, I would not recommend these shoes if you're starting to run. If you're somebody that's worn barefoot shoes and you've adapted to that, you start your running journey slowly, because your cadence, your striking pattern, everything, your gait, everything is going to change while you run in a barefoot shoe. But that's for another video. But these are the two ones that I recommend for daily wear and for strength training and hit style training. Top shoes for sure. Other than that, if you're somebody that's not if you're somebody that has not dove into barefoot shoe, not your cup of tea, it's not for everybody, I understand. Shoe that I recommend aside from a Nike Metcon, honestly, Nike Metcons are just too clunky for me. Personal opinion. Nike's a cool brand for shoes, don't get me wrong. A lot of people love them, of course. Number one shoe brand, I believe, in the world. But they're just too clunky. Hit style training shoe, could be worn as a daily. I wear this shoe just as much less than the barefoot shoe, than Vivobarefoot. But Reebok, they got something going on. The Nano line from Reebok is by far the best shoe line that Reebok has. Specifically for me, I've been a huge fan of the Nano X2s. They're already in X5s, so they've definitely, given different iterations, and they've the shoe itself has evolved, but I'm stuck on the Nano 2s. Reason being, the Nano 2s just feel like they have a wider toe box. I tried the Nano 3s, I tried the Nano 4s, wasn't a huge fan. They felt a little bit more narrow to me, a little bit too much structure. I haven't tried the Nano 5, so they might have fixed it. I've heard good things, but I like that although it's not labeled as a wider toe box shoe, it does have a lot more room in the toe box. It offers much more structure at the top, so it's going to give you a much more fitted fit. And then when it comes to the bottom, it is a flat bottom, so it's going to give you a lot of stability, especially around the heel. This is more of a 7mm drop, so heel to toe, it's a 7mm drop. When it comes to lifting and hit style training, this is the shoe to go. Could you wear it all day? 1000%. I wear it to coach all day long. So overall, it's a great shoe. It's super comfortable. It offers a lot of support, a lot of stability, and the structure is great. It does have a little bit more of rigidity. Of course, it's not a barefoot shoe, but X2 Nanos, if you can still get your hands on some of them, since they're on X5, you might find them at much lower prices. This is actually my third pair of the X2s. I have a bunch of colors on, but my favorite Reebok shoes is definitely the Nanos, specifically the Nano X2s. So yeah, great shoe, structure, hit style classes, lifting, this is the shoe you want to wear. Now, going into the next thing, again, these are okay for everyday wear. These are mostly going to be running shoes, because that's what I'm diving into a little bit more. When it comes to running shoes, all day grinders, the shoes that you can run in every single day. And disclaimer, I am a heavier runner, sitting at 200 pounds, in no way, shape, or form am I fast. That being said, I do like the extra cushion on running shoes, but I also need them to be light so I don't feel like I'm clunking around. With that, without further ado, these are the New Balance Rebel V4s. So New Balance Rebel V4s, they're on V5s. I'm gonna be honest, I've tried the V5s. I was not a fan of because, and you might see this come up, or I've said it a couple times already, I just like a wider fit. I wouldn't consider myself to have a wider foot. I just like the extra room that I've been accustomed to because I'm using barefoot shoes a lot, specifically Vivos. So I like the wider toe box. So I stumbled upon these a little bit over a year ago. Had found a lot of good reviews on them. I really like the colorway. But these are the New Balance Rebel V4s. They're on V5s. Rebel V4s, they were considered one of the best trainers in 2024. They have a wider base in regards to the bottom and the outsole. They have a wider fit at the top. New Balance calls it a phantom fit. It's a very breathable construction at top. Which again favors the wider toe box. They're very light, so they were actually considered the best cushioned tempo, like up tempo run shoe. I am a 4-foot striker, so I wouldn't say I don't use the back cushion, because I'm sure as I get more fatigued on longer runs, like I go midfoot or maybe like a heel to toe, but I definitely consider myself a mid to 4-foot striker. So I run at a faster pace, but given that I'm a heavier runner, I do like the extra cushion for longer runs. That being said, it is a 6mm drop from bottom to top, and I've said it for the past couple shoes. What I mean by that, guys, is for those who don't know shoes as much, the back heel tends to be higher than the toes, than where the foam sits at the toes, and that's what they call a heel to toe drop. And the more elevation on the heel, the easier it is on your gastroc, on your calf muscle, on your Achilles. It'll favor it. For running, it's good because it gives you that extra cushion, and then it helps you propel yourself forward the more aggressive the drop is from heel to toe. With that said, I wear a lot of zero drop shoes. My feet are most of the time are flat on the floor, so I don't like too much of an aggressive rock. So this is why the 6mm drop from these shoes is perfect for me. Being a heavier runner, it has the extra cushion. It is a light shoe, so I don't feel like I'm clunking around. Would I recommend these for cross training, lifting? Absolutely not. There's not enough support because of the cushion and because it's a running shoe, guys. That's the other thing. Keep seeing individuals where in group training classes they wear running shoes for a group training class. Not saying that you can't. It's just a shoe that's not going to favor the movements that we're trying to train. So instead of being stable and being able to focus on what you're doing, you're having to lighten the load, not be able to push hard enough, having to focus too much on, do I have stable like footing, and you're taking away from the class, you're taking away from the workout. So that's why I'm making this video, just to show you guys different shoes that I use for the specific task or the specific training that is being done. So running shoe, definitely faster runs, tempo runs, and most definitely can be worn for a longer run due to the extra cushion. It's super breathable. If you can get your hands on the Rebel V4s, go for it. It's probably going to be at a lower price now because the V5s are out, and with that, the V5s tend to be a little bit more narrow. But again, different shoes, different people. This is just my personal opinion. I didn't like the V5s. A lot of people do. A lot of my friends do love the V5s and how they feel. So regardless, the Rebels from New Balance are great starting shoes and everyday shoes. If you want to keep a 1 shoe rotation, this is the shoe to go if you're starting off. But definitely highly recommend the New Balance Rebels. Going into the next shoe, and this is going to be a bit more of an aggressive shoe, just because it's more like a racing flat. So these are the Brooks Launch 11s. In the first instance, I was not looking for this shoe in particular. I just stumbled upon it, and I like the colorway, I like the style, and when I tried it on, they're not a wide shoe in any way, shape, or form, or at least they're not marketed as a wide shoe, but I do find that they have plenty of toe room. So I considered these. I tried them out. I actually ran my second and my third HYROX race in these because they are more of a racing flat, so they have a firmer ride. With that, they're a bit more springy because the foam is a little bit denser. The New Balance, the Rebels, have a dense foam, but they are soft. So the bounce comes from the softness of the foam, the bounce comes from the softness of the foam, not from the spring of the foam. And I hope that makes sense, and runners, help me out on here. I just feel like this one has a lot more spring. This has a 7, actually no, this one has an 8mm drop, so it does have an aggressive rock at the top, as you can see, the little spring at the front. Much more constructed at the top, denser foam, so it's a lot firmer, and it has a lot more structure on the heel. This is just a great track shoe. If you're looking for speed, I would not recommend it outside of a tempo run, which for me, a tempo run right now is anywhere between like 3 and 6 miles, so not very far considering in the running realm. But they're a great shoe. Use them for track workouts. They're light. They're springy. They don't have a carbon plate in any way, shape, or form, but the rigidity from them helps propel me forward. And again, great coverage at the bottom and top. Super inexpensive shoe. I think that right now the Launch 11s are running at maybe $79, $89, which is ridiculous. So if you're looking for a lighter shoe, trainer shoe, and if you were to use a running shoe, if I were to recommend a running shoe to use for your HIIT style training, if you want to be in the studio and do some training in a comfortable running shoe, Launch might be it. They definitely do offer a bit more support, and the upper construction is a little bit more sturdy for some of those lateral movements. Would I recommend it 100%? Probably not. Again, there's shoes for a specific reason, so I would probably recommend a HIIT style trainer. Again, Nike Metcons, the Reebok Nanos, of course, and if you're in the barefoot realm, I would 100% recommend the Motus Strength by far. But that's what these are. These are more like a racing flat, but they're great for speedier runs. In my personal opinion, personal experience, take my bias or not. Last shoe I'm going to show is back to New Balance. These, I just got my hands on them not too long ago. These are the New Balance Super Comp Elite V4s. They're in the V5s. V4s, just the whole shoe itself, the whole line of the New Balance 2024 was just a wider base shoe, and I did not like the iteration they did for the V5, so I'm sticking with the V4s. But I wanted to get a plated shoe, right? So this is a plated shoe. It has a carbon plate. It just means it's going to have a little bit more propulsion forward, or it's going to in the plate itself this time. Although it does offer some propulsion forward, it's also for stability, because don't know if you guys can see in the camera, but this has much more stack. So it's a lot more distance between me and the ground in the shoe. That being said, it's a 4mm drop, so it's even more flat. than the Rebels. But with that, it has a lot more foam. It's more responsive, and obviously the rigidity from the carbon plate. And then on top of that, the toe box is a little bit wider, and the upper construction is again phantom fit, super light, super light. Again, considering I'm a heavier runner, I do like the wider base here. This is the HYROX racing shoe. So if you're looking for a HYROX racing shoe, wider base, a lot of cushion. This is known to be a shoe that is going to be utilized for longer runs, longer, speedier runs, like marathon, half marathon efforts, marathon efforts. This is the shoe that people have been going for. I think it's slept on as a HYROX shoe. I have yet to do my HYROX in it, but with my experience, I did I did majority of my HYROX training, and I did my first HYROX in the Rebels, and they performed tremendously well. I can't wait to see how a carbon plated shoe and this shoe affects my next HYROX. That being said, great shoe. Now when it comes to plated shoes, they are running shoes. And you might be surprised, but yes, I've seen people come into studios with a carbon plated shoe to do strength training, squats, lunges, bench press, clean and jerks. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? So carbon plated shoes are meant to be on the road. In regards to HYROX, do you need a carbon plated shoe for HYROX? No. Does it help? Are you going to get much more out of it? Maybe, if you are a runner. If you're a runner and you know why the shoe's there and you're going to pick up the pace and you know what shoe, because that's the thing. There's different carbon plated shoes too. There's different different lines of carbon plated shoe for different events. So this is a road running shoe. This is a marathon shoe. It's going to be tried out for a HYROX. I've heard good things of people that have worn this shoe. I'm going to try it out myself. All that to say, let me not get into nitty gritty. These are the type of shoes that I rotate. This one's going to be added into the rotation for those longer efforts, those intervals, and obviously I'm going to utilize it for the next HYROX. For me, it's going to be HYROX Miami, and if I like them, then I'll see y'all in New York as well. But with that explains a little bit of the shoes. Hopefully you guys got some insights. Again, if I were to pick two top shoes, and out of the ones that I have, two top shoes, as y'all can tell, is going to be the Motus Strength, and that'll cover your daily wear, and that'll also cover your strength training, regardless if it HIIT style or if it's going to be bodybuilding, powerlifting style. That shoe is going to cover all that training and daily wear. When it comes to running, I would probably go with the Rebels. It'll cover everything. You don't need the plate. You get plenty of cushion. You get plenty of return when you run, and they just have a great light fit. So if you were to rotate off just two shoes, those would be my top two picks out of my rotation. I'm interested to see what type of shoes you guys have, and then what you guys think about the shoes. If you have any questions about shoes, these are just a few. Like I said, I'm a big shoe guy, mostly training shoes. So I'm gonna be honest, not a sneakerhead. Although I do like my sneaks, but definitely running and training shoes. So if you have any questions, shoot them down in the comments. If this was helpful, I appreciate a like. And if you're interested in seeing more videos and hopefully seeing things pick up a little bit more on the social media platform, please give me a subscribe. And I'll see you guys